Ah, yes, the infamous blue and white. That is BMW. And they managed to catch another dub, y'all. I'm talking about the Consumer Reports top pick. I have no idea, y'all, but like 2 years in a row, they managed to get top pick when they make cars that look like this. Do you think they could make anything better than that? Sure, they still have the good looking cars like the 3 and the 2 series. They ruined the 5 series. It only looks good from the front end, and yet they made it look like a VW from the Metamorphosis with that rear end. I can't imagine what the future X5 is going to look like. I mean, probably similar to that. So yeah, RIP the X5. And also, what the hell is an XM? Seriously, I thought they were gonna call it the X8 like they anticipated. Not gonna lie, when Christopher Bangle took lead at BMW, my god, they made some beautiful machines in that time period. Like, damn. The likes of the E39, the E46, and yes, even the E65, I find it rather good looking. But my favorite is the E66 with those new design taillights, which look a lot better than the previous generation taillights. And yet, the old head BMW diehards criticized this man's designs. How could you hate the cars that were once at the top of luxury vehicles, dominating Audi, Mercedes, and even Porsche for some reason? You cannot go wrong with a V10 M5 or a V8 M3. You'll never see those cars again. BMW is never going to introduce a V10 or V8 M powered car ever again. Like, they hybridized the M5. The XN is a hybrid. The M3 is soon going to be a hybrid, but it has an inline 6. And yet, this man sadly left BMW in 2009 to be replaced by another man named Adrian Van. I'm not going to pronounce his last name. I don't know who that is, and if you do, well then good for you, I guess. I mean, cool. But he's responsible for the somewhat ugly looking BMWs. Like many enthusiasts say that BMW stopped making good cars after 2010, which, I highly disagree with this because, come on now. You mean to tell me the E92 was ugly or the F12 was ugly? Come on now. But their whole perspective on car design changed when they unveiled their second electric car that is the iX, which brought back the old, and I mean old, BMW kidney grille design. And yes, back then it was quite massive. And yet those cars back then looked really good. And yet I can't imagine they did this because they wanted their older audience to think, wow, BMW is back to their old roots. But no, this is not the case at all. People, myself included, highly criticized the design of the iX because of, I mean, just look at it. I mean, it has an ass for a face, everybody. Don't get me wrong though, the interior is jaw dropping beautiful. All the crystal dials, little wooden like nicks here and there, and the little gold RM little trim everywhere. Whatever they called it. I mean, I sat in one at the auto show and I was impressed with it. Like the seats were the most comfortable I have ever sat in until I sat in the i7, which it had the rear theater and everything. And my opinions quickly changed like that. But that's not the point because the design quickly spread like a virus to their other cars. They came out with the i4 and then it appeared on the M3 and M4 and then the 4 series, and I was hella disappointed when they made them look like this because I was expecting better. Do you think I'm gonna buy a new M4 and keep it like that? You bet your ass I'm giving it that small grill body kit for it, even though then it still looks horrible. Don't get me wrong though, these cars are insane in terms of performance and how well it drifts, but I mean the looks could have been better. And yet, it's not all about the looks, it's about reliability, most importantly. When you go to the dealership and buy a car, you expect it to be good, right? Except, in my honest opinion, an unreliable car has more character. Hear me out. It's more special to me because I'm spending more time complaining about it and laughing about it than it actually drives. That's what makes it special, is the little quirks that don't even work. Like the cup holders, for example, they shoot at you like goddamn bullets. And that's what just makes an unreliable car special. Boring people buy reliable cars because they just want to go to work and go work their 9 to 5 jobs to, provide for themselves and their families. Like, yeah, I respect them, but sometimes you gotta at least have a little fun in your life or something. With old BMWs, however, it's a hit or miss with them. You can go on Facebook Marketplace right now and search BMW. You'll get tons of results. Most of them are drivable, or they have issues, or they're very well maintained. or they're in pieces. And yet BMW has managed since the late 2000s to have a bad rep for their reliability, but yet I think everyone's wrong to say that. And yes, I know many of them are unreliable, like the V12 7 Series and, well, cars with the V12s. And let's not forget the V10s they put in the M5 and M6 cars, because, yeah, even though they're very unique in their ways, however, but rod bearings was not their strong suit. But most of them can be reliable. And if you, most importantly, take care of them properly, I think the reason why many of them are unreliable is because of the careless owners who don't really pay much attention to when their cars need regular service or care. Like most people, when they go to the dealership and they buy their mainstream BMW, like a 540i or a 330i, they tend to keep it for about like 2 to 3 years, and then they're either like, oh, this car is so old, or time to get a new car, and then the used BMWs pile up on the BMW lot, so they end up in the used dealership. They just they pile up like freaking. I don't know what kind of reference to use here at this point. And what I've noticed is that the older BMWs that are one-owner cars are typically in immaculate condition. Like, they're very well maintained, and they usually have no issues. And then you have people who buy M cars, like an M2 or something, and it's usually younger people that probably miss a payment or two on average, and they drive the hell out of them and cut up in traffic. Like, you gotta have balls the size of Saturn to do something like that without crashing. And then some of them have higher miles or some issues or minimal miles, and it's all a little mess in the market right now. And then there's Consumer Reports. It's a little southern company who makes magazines on cars. They make their magazines on cars, people. And they have their overall top pick they do annually. And I remember in 2019 or 2020, they started to make their way up. BMW to be exact. Their cars pleased Consumer Reports, and they started scoring higher on their tests, which I guess they're getting better in terms of reliability, which is a good thing. But then again, how is that even possible? They used to make cars that were very unreliable back in the early 2000s and whatnot, and it was only their M cars with big engines and whatnot. And the crazy thing is, Toyota, Honda, actually Honda's getting worse somehow according to them, Subaru and Nissan, which Nissan's reliability has been starting to decline recently, but that's another story for another day. Many other automakers are somehow falling from the top. Mercedes-Benz somehow has fallen, along with Land Rover, which was expected. They spend more time in the shop than on the road, for crying out loud. At the very bottom, we have Rivian, as expected. Like, do you think I'm gonna buy an electric truck that costs more than a new Camry to repair the rear end in case of an accident? Yeah, even if they gave me one for free, I wouldn't take it or touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's my honest opinion. Then there are many brands they ranked which they don't recommend a single car from. From the likes of Mercedes, as I mentioned, Dodge, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, GMC, Land Rover, Jaguar, and many more. This list is valid though, because many of their cars are questionable in a sense. Like, I'm not paying 10 grand over sticker for a new Jeep Cherokee, or buying the outdated Levante or Ghibli, or dealing with the monstrosity of electrical issues in a Jaguar or Land Rover. I'm genuinely surprised that BMW made number one as their top pick. Before, in 2017, their cars always scored good or average, and now that they're at the top, it's interesting to see. Back then, like in the 2000s, that was their best era ever. You can never replicate that again. Never again could they replicate that time and place where they made good cars that were fun or exciting in their own ways ever again. We'll never see that. Being a top pick for Consumer Reports, I'm sure that goes on your window sticker, like at the dealership. I'm sure they put that on the window sticker, right? Either way, this is something nobody saw coming. And if you did, then you can predict the goddamn future, bruh. Because I thought Toyota or something was gonna take the crown this year. Sure, they used to make cooler cars, and they still do, but it's all gonna go downhill from here. The V8 has been replaced by inline 6 with the 5 Series, and the XM and new M5, they're gonna be hybrids. At least they're not electric yet, though, thank God. That's all that matters. Elon Musk can be number one in electric cars, but nobody cares enough about that anyways. Nobody cares that an electric truck from Cyberpunk can hit 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds, towing a goddamn 911 while it's racing a 911. That's just sad, because this is our future. But that's another video for another day, and I'm sure as hell not buying a car that is likely to erupt in flames before I even take delivery of that. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, that's all for today's video. I wish I could have made it longer, but I like doing these videos where I just yap about, certain topics. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope y'all enjoyed. Like and subscribe. I feel so basic for saying that. Like this video, share it with your friends, hit that thumbs up button, smash your... I'm not gonna do that blarky line. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.